In this video, I'm going to be going over my final exam for my fine arts course. My first question was asking me about what is the difference in art and non-art. So whenever I first read this question, it took me a time to understand what that question even meant, and knowing like what was the difference between art and non-art, because I never really heard a concept like those. So what I came into the conclusion is that art is seeing a painting and using your own imagination, so like your thoughts and feelings, and putting together to create a message out of this painting. While on the other hand, non-art is like emotions felt while looking at something, like such as arts like operas, ballets, plays. Like, so whenever you see this happening, you gain these emotions of shock or happy or sad for what you're like, almost like watching a movie. So like for example, going on is whenever I saw an opera or whenever I saw the Shakespeare play and the Shakespeare Globe, I felt emotions such as laughed. I felt it was funny, so I laughed. That was my emotion. While if I was going into the museum, such as the Palace of Versailles, there were some paintings that didn't have captions or a short summary about the painting. So I would go there and stand in front of this painting and come up with my own like conclusion of what this painting could mean. Before even searching up about going into deeper depth into these paintings. My second question was, how is seeing art in person instead of a book different for you? In person, we saw so many different pieces of art, such buildings and art pieces in London and Paris. Most of the art I seen in online, I didn't really pay much attention to it because pictures don't really do it justice how it looks in person. So whenever let's say I'm going through my social media and I see a piece of art or a building, I don't really pay mind to it because I'm not there. It doesn't really matter to me, or I don't really gain any emotions or feelings or any like putting my imagination together just to look at a painting through online. But seeing things in person is a whole nother story. I never knew like how much a painting or a building or a structure could make me feel. So for example, my favorite pieces of art throughout this whole trip was looking at the cathedrals in person. Whenever I would see them online, I never really realized how big they were and how detailed they were throughout the whole structure. So my first cathedral we saw in London was the Westminster Abbey. Seeing it was breathtaking. The statues were very detailed from the outside and the inside. And when I walked into the building, I didn't really have any expectations because I'd never been to a cathedral myself. So walking in, we did see very different memorials for very famous people throughout the history, such as like kings, queens, knights, and even like Newton was in there. It was really amazing how they have over like 3,000 bodies buried in that one cathedral that was people from all around the world, and they had their own unique statues or their own memorials just for them. And I think it was very interesting. That was like my favorite type of art, because even if I saw that online, I wouldn't feel how I felt like how I did when I saw it. And I like how these small art can tell me so much about where this painting is from and how it was created, and it can just tell me so much that I would never see through social media. Another question that was asked was, what do you think about people risking their lives for some of the art you witness? It is insane how I never really knew what art is, and art is everything. Art can be as simple as this table that's right underneath my phone. So I never understood the value of what art can be, like what art really is. So when I think about this question, I think about the British Museum, because it has one of the most important artifacts in the world. For example, my favorite piece of art or structure that was in the British Museum was the Rosetta Stone. I do not stop talking about it nonstop. I talk about it every day, I think. Only because I didn't even know what that was until I went in and my professor talked to me about it and what it is and why is it important. I just saw a rock. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't even understand why everyone is surrounding this rock. So the Rosetta Stone, it holds 3 different languages, and the importance of this rock or this stone was it was able to translate a language that is not practiced anymore these days. Like absolutely no one. It got lost over time, so no one was able to translate these languages. So whenever they find inscriptions and walls, they had no clue how to understand it until this Rosetta Stone was found. The Rosetta Stone was accidentally found by the French army under the command of Napoleon. However, they had to give it up to the British when they lost a battle against them. So till today, most of these artifacts are held in the British Museum is still causing problems because there's an argument whether it should be given back to the place they were found or it should be like stay in this museum where they are being preserved and held and well taken care of. So I always like wonder like, should this go back or should it stay? Because we could be risking the artifacts decaying or breaking down or losing their importance and their value. So I feel like, I don't know, most of the arts are in the British Museum they were able to take all of this from battles that they won or people fighting over these pieces of arts or just stealing them themselves. So it's kind of insane how the British Museum was able to get all of this. And like even though it was from thousands of years ago, it's still causing problems today, which is crazy because like that art can hold so much value. Another question was, explain the moments you experience wonder. Throughout the whole trip, I experienced wonder. The whole time I would ask myself different questions such as, why did they build this? Why was it built like this? What made them build like this? I wonder what this even means to them whenever they were creating this. The place I experienced the most wonder was at the British Museum, like I was talking about. The British Museum, it was just insane. I never even knew what the British Museum was till my professor explained the meaning, like the story behind this building. I wonder how they were able to get all these artifacts from around the world, how they were able to keep these artifacts to themselves, to the British. How were they able to keep that all in that British Museum the whole time without like people stealing it back or people destroying it because they're over here stealing from all over the world? It can create so much problems. So this museum was one of my favorite museums because it allowed me to see so many different things from around the world in different periods of times. And it's just insane. Like even from there was artifacts from the Stone Age. Like I don't know how they're able to preserve this and still keep it and like still look brand new, like as if they found this like months ago. So that's just a museum. I went twice there. And just the whole time I was just like, how were they able to get this? How do they keep this? How is this happening? It was just something that blew my mind, and I'm so glad I was able to experience this in myself. I just never knew this place even existed till I got the opportunity to go. My final question is, how do you think this trip and your experience will affect your future self and why? This trip overall was life-changing. I changed so much in such a short period of time of 2 weeks. This trip overall helped me appreciate the opportunities given to me. If I was going onto this trip without any, without this program of the Fine Arts program, I would never go to these shows. I don't think I would ever watch an opera or go to a ballet. I would never in my whole life would be like, let me go watch an opera. So like being on this program made me see art in a different way I'd never seen before. Because just looking at a simple painting, I'm like, oh, that's so cool, but I'll move on. But like there's so much meaning behind it. How there's so much more than just an oil painting. The art can be expressed in so many different ways. So it just made me really appreciate art and see art in everything. So another way that this program helped me is as a person, being surrounded with these people I never met before and having to be with them all the time and having to work with them really took me outside of my comfort zone. It made me realize that it can always be my way and I need to be able to work with people who I never met before. I think this feature what I experience will help me in my future, such as in my work field. I learned how to be with different people that I never met before, and this will help me in the future work with different people, being able to adapt to the way of thinking and able to collaborate with other people in my profession. So overall, this trip was life-changing. I loved everything about it. I hope to do it again. I am so thankful for all these opportunities given to me, as I learned so much, not just only by myself, but so much of what's out in the world. Thank you.